Hello everyone, this is Joe from Scarecrow Joe's Studio. Welcome back. This is part 5 of our paper mache tutorial on how to build the crop keeper. We're going to continue on in this segment here in sculpting. I did finish up the sculpt on my jack-o'-lantern, as you can see. I did leave that quarter-size space where I'm going to eventually insert the arms into. But while I was sculpting, I did do a time lapse on part of it. You know, just a couple of minutes, which actually was, I don't know, 25 minutes worth of actual work. So take a look at this. Maybe it'll be beneficial to you to see, in fast motion, of course, what I do as far as sculpting out jack-o'-lanterns. Alright, so again, that was just a couple of minutes, less than a couple of minutes of time lapse on how I sculpt my jack-o'-lanterns. I don't know if you caught, you know, the types of tools that I was using. My old fallback is just my little plastic sculpting tool that I use for smoothing. And then as well as a plastic spoon. Plastic spoons come in really handy for anything that has a rounded surface. So like these ridges here on my pumpkin form, you use the concave side of that. You can actually even dip the spoon into the paper mache paste and smooth it in even more. And of course I did use my paste with my paint brushes to initially smooth over. So we're going to, well, I'm going to show you a couple of other little things here. He is completely done, except for a few things. One thing that I want to point out, anytime that I am sculpting a jack-o'-lantern, even after I have clayed over the bottom and let that harden so that I have a nice solid surface to build on, I go ahead and I stuff it with crumpled newspaper. So that's what you see inside there. That's crumpled up newspaper, and it just helps it to not collapse in on itself with having those heavy clay areas, because in some areas there's some pretty heavy clay that I layered on for my ridges. Probably maybe a ½ inch in some places. So this is going to take some time to dry. Now after it does dry completely, there's going to be some other things that I'm going to want to go back and do. Now because paper mache clay, it does shrink a little bit. So already you could see, like right around here, this is a drier piece of my clay here, my sculpture. And this is obviously clay, wet clay. But the drier piece right here, you could see where it's pulled apart from my thin flexible flexible cardboard that I used as my guide in my eyes and nose and mouth. And that's going to happen, and it's fine. So once it's completely dry, I'm going to go in and I'll put in some more clay and smooth that in and fill in any kind of gaps. And then any kind of any kind of gaps around in the mouth, and then where you could actually, you could really see where I glued on pieces of the thin flexible cardboard there. I'm going to clay those areas over so that they don't show that section of where I glued that stuff in. Anyway, I'm going to set this guy in front of a fan. He's going to take probably, I don't know, maybe probably at least a couple of days to dry to the point where I can insert the arms and then continue on with some other little things that I want to do to add some more detail. And on that note, we're going to now switch gears here, and we're going to focus on our hands and our arms for the tree trunk and the jack-o'-lantern. As you can see, I haven't done anything else since the last segment with these. And as you can also probably see, I have a couple of other different materials that I'm going to use. This is some cotton. This is just strings of cotton here. Yeah, or you could use cotton balls, any kind of cotton. And then also some cheap toilet paper, like from the dollar store. Don't use Charmin, where, you know, bath tissue or anything like that. That's expensive, and you're not going to need a whole lot of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use these two different materials in conjunction with that paper mache clay to lend this more detail and making it look more like tree branches or tree arms and hands. So let's get to that right now. Alright, so before I even get started on this, what I've done is I've taken a couple of squares of the toilet tissue and I've just cut them into strips like this. So that's what you see here. I have a pile of it here. And then with my pieces of cotton, I cut those, or I didn't cut those down, but I kind of ripped them down like this. Different sizes, different thickness, that type of thing. So the very first thing that I want to do, and also I need to mention that I still have not clayed over this lower section here. That's going to be the part that's going to be inserted into the pumpkin and the tree trunk. I'm going to save that for dead last, pretty much. All right, so let's get to it. First thing that I want to do is I'm just going to take little bits at a time here. This is going to lend this some more texture other than that clay. So basically I've laid it on and I'm taking a small paintbrush, dip it into my clay. You don't want it smooth, leave it wrinkly, because that's the texture that we're going for to make this look more like tree, you know, tree branch stuff. And what will actually also help you, so you put some paste on it first, on your hand or your arm. Put that on there first, and then lay that piece of toilet tissue on there, and then apply your paste over that. Again, you're not trying to get it smooth. You do want some wrinkles, that kind of thing. So I'm pretty much, what I'm going to do here, it's my bigger brush. I'm going to go down the whole arm up to the point where I don't have any clay. So I'm just going to continue laying on that toilet paper, that toilet tissue. You can use as much of this stuff as you want. You can use this to bulk up, you know, a lot of your areas on your hands if you want to make them a little thicker. The easiest way for bulking, obviously, is to add more clay. But for the purpose of this video and the purpose of time constraints and trying to just get all of this done for you, I'm not going to bulk these up any more than I already have. I'm just, you know, going to go with what I have as far as the thickness is concerned and show you this technique. This is fine. These arms and the hands, they're very strong. They're sturdy. They're not going to break because we have that wire in there. We have that wire armature in there, and we have the strip mache over that as well. So I'm going to carry on with this. Just keep bulking, laying it on, bulking it up, you know, that kind of thing, wrapping it. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to go in and I'll show you what you could do to kind of add even more texture, even more of an element of a tree bark or tree hand or claw to this to make it more interesting. Alright, I have laid on that toilet tissue there, and when this dries, it's going to dry very, very hard, and it's also going to have a lot of really cool tree kind of or wood texture, kind of a gnarly wood texture. So now next step, and you may need like a smaller, like an even thinner paintbrush, and you can use the other tip of that paintbrush, or if you have some other little kind of this is just another plastic cheap sculpting tool that I have as well. So get these paintbrushes out of the way, because this is already wet. I'm just going to start with taking a piece of my cotton here, and basically I'm just going to lay it on top. Just like that. I'm going to come in with my paste and a paintbrush, and yep, I'm totally going to have to use a smaller one. I'm going to saturate it, but I'm also going to shape it. So right now, first thing I'm doing is I'm gently painting on my paste over that cotton. And again, once this dries, it's going to dry very hard. So I want that cotton there to kind of resemble like vine on top of my hands here, or my arm. So that's where the end of your paintbrush comes in handy, because you could shape it a little bit, make sure it stands out above your toilet paper or your toilet tissue. Make sure it kind of stands out and is raised a little bit. And hopefully you could see that, where this is going to dry. Again, it's going to dry, it'll be hardened. I'm going to take another piece here, and I'm just going to keep adding a little bit here and there. Gently saturating the cotton. Really make sure you're paying attention to it. You do want to have paste on all of it, but try not to smash it down so much. You do want it to kind of stay a little bit raised off of the surface. Now you absolutely do not have to do this technique. You could totally use your paper mache clay. I just find that this technique, it adds another layer of texture, and it just makes it stand out a little bit more. Just another element to your hands here. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to layer on just a piece like this. And I don't know if you could tell, but my tips here of my fingers, I didn't even put any I didn't put any paste, or sorry, I didn't put any toilet paper tissue over those. I'm going to leave those again, so there's some contrast from the toilet paper here that's on here, making it look a little bit more gnarled up. as far as the tree bark. So there's going to be basically once this is all done, once this is said and done, there's going to be basically three different components or three different materials of paper mache on these hands and the arms. So I want this to kind of, again, this is trying to create like vines, that kind of thing. Alright, I think you understand what I'm going with here. Again, off camera, I'm going to go in and I'm going to keep going. Layer on some more vines using my cotton, and then I'll be right back with you. Alright, this one's done here. I like the way that this is coming out. I like the way that it has these different textural elements on there. Trying to show you this kind of from all different angles. So if you could picture it, let me bring this pumpkin guy forward. If you kind of picture it, so this is the hole here. Or even on this side. It'll look pretty cool once it's inserted in there, and then it's, you know, on top of the tree trunk. But I'm gonna go ahead off camera. I don't think you need to watch me sculpt all of these in with the toilet paper and the cotton. Really cool effect once it's dry. You know, you really want to make sure that you are getting enough paste on all of it. So I'm seeing some areas where I just didn't get enough paste. So it's kind of delicate in a way, because you don't want to smash it down, but you do want to make sure that the cotton is saturated. Once I complete the other ones, I'm going to put these back on that plastic lid and put them in front of fans, along with my jack-o'-lantern here that's still wet and drying, to ensure that they're not going to stick to anything. So if I put this on a piece of plastic like that plastic lid, it's not going to stick, even with the toilet paper and the cotton. Now, once this jack-o'-lantern is dry, and I do want it to be dry, I'm going to use the same effect with using the cotton, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to lay in some kind of vine, you know, type textures in certain areas, especially, you know, after I insert those hands. So again, it's going to make him more of a cohesive piece, and not just having some tree branch hands stuck to him. I want it to look more cohesive in that they actually belong on this jack-o'-lantern. After my hands are dry, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to clay over these bottom sections that still have that raw newspaper paper mache on there. I'm not going to bother putting in any of the toilet paper or the vine type textures with the cotton, because this is just going to be inserted inside and no one's going to see those, so I'm not going to waste my time on that. Alright, one other thing, you can use that same technique with the cotton and put in even some vines, some different types of texture into your tree trunk as well if you wanted to do that. I may do that around the areas after I insert the arms into this. I may do something like that, maybe around these areas, just to show that it's kind of growing out as like this viney branch, you know, crazy hand type thing. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap now for segment 5 or part 5 on this tutorial. Coming up really fast here as soon as everything dries. I'm going to get right back to it, and we're going to finish these sculpts completely. So we're in the home stretch. We're nearly there. It's getting really exciting, for me anyway, because I love it when everything starts to come together and starts looking great, and it's just piecing it together and doing final details, then letting it all dry again, and of course, then it's time to paint. But until then, thank you again for watching, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing, and we'll catch you in the next one.